And so this theme of choosing to rise in love rather than fall in love, just like he would play it on all these different versions of it, it has the same significance, like what we're about to do with it. So let's get into it and we'll see what's going to come up because I love this guy. He's one of my favorite people. And I can't even tell you how many times we would laugh. He called me Space, that was my nickname. And what an inspiration because he didn't care. He just got to the point where he had nothing left and he didn't hide from anybody or anything. And he was so outspoken. He didn't care, you know? So let's get relaxed. And whether you're sitting up or laying down, either way, just do your best to have some symmetry in your posture, meaning try to get your spine straight if you can, but don't do it at the sake of being uncomfortable. So the straighter the spine is, and the more symmetrical our arms and legs and hands and feet can be, the easier it is for the heart to send the information that we're creating within us throughout your entire being. And so just like these sacred temples that are all over the world, and that even a bunch of churches were built on these areas where they say ley lines were. Almost like the earth has her own coherence points. And in most of these ancient temples, they all had elements that were similar, meaning there's a lot of electromagnetic energy. And so the rock has different elements, magnetic elements, and tons of different metals. And as we know, those metals are the best conductors for electricity. Real organic electricity or artificial. Metals carry that no matter what. And also these other sacred sites had water. And it's almost always where a spring is bubbling up. Because where the water bubbles up to the earth's surface, real spring, where the water's coming from deep, deep, deep in the rock, way down. When you combine all these elements, which are actually all in us, in these bodies, we're mostly water. We have lots of different metallic elements in our body that conduct this bioelectromagnetic pulse of life that allows our personality to exist, even with all of our self-limiting beliefs and low self-esteem and all the things that so many of us go throughout really key moments in our life. Even all of that stuff, the only reason that it's happening is because this sacred force a force of nature. And even beyond that, you could say it's divine nature, because we have the ability to self-reflect to degrees that very few have learned to exercise amongst our species. Yes, we know there are some who've been able to delve deep into what it is to be in these bodies. And that's where yoga and qigong and all this stuff came from. Because another thing with these temples is that they were built with mathematical posture and symmetry. And my point in saying all that is we are these sacred temples. These bodies are that. And even in our pain and in misery and complaints and lack of feeling love for self or others, that miracle is still there. And it's allowing all of that. The moment we really start to realize that, the more we realize that out of nowhere, that trend of thinking and feeling and behaving in very small parameters that we're familiar with, because we're pretty much addicted to familiarity. Because what isn't familiar can be scary to a lot of people, and understandably. But I don't think anybody gets a free get out of jail pass. At some point, we face what is unfamiliar, whether we are ready or not. And when we do that in these bodies, while we're alive, no matter how uncomfortable or scary it can be, if we choose to stay the course and allow ourselves to surrender to that which brings us the most discomfort or invokes our primal fears, on the other side of all of that is the part of us that already knows all of this. Revelation only seems like a big deal because so many are out of tune with their divine nature, even though it's allowing all of this to happen. And so, in your body, be relaxed. Keep some posture. And for this time that we're going to spend together, the most important part of it is for you to explore the energy that you are while you're in this body. And why that's so important is because when we're not aware of that element of ourself, then we're usually resisting it. We don't really get into the knowing of what it is to be an invisible energy animating a body, causing a heart to beat, causing all of these complex systems of our body, that just these systems alone are so much more advanced than the greatest scientific instruments and tools. Just our very being is transcendent of everything that is founded upon the principles of matter, where energy is so condensed that it takes on the appearance of matter. And it looks so real. It feels so real. But it is energy. And if we were to become aware of how quick that energy is buzzing, vibrating, we would be in awe. We would be seeing through the illusion of it. And we would begin to know that the energy in us that's causing these systems in our body to work together, and even if they were to be altered, even just a little bit, our experiences in this body could be really uncomfortable. And there is a lot of people who do experience that regularly. There's always been a tremendous amount of suffering and pain. And then on the other side of that, there exists this possibility. And we feel that possibility when we get involved with others, especially romantically. Anybody who's ever had a strong romantic relationship, they know what it feels like. The stronger it is, the more you feel like anything could happen. And that energy is exciting. It's empowering. And it is very addicting. And that's why when that feeling comes to an end, which could be not just a couple separating, somebody could get sick or die. There's lots of different ways. And it's almost like it's an artificially inflated sense and feeling of what love can be like. But that is, for the most part, void of knowing where that love comes from. and what that love is. And this is what we're doing here right now. We're here to know ourselves as we are and to focus on that place from where this love that we experience in others externally, we're going to focus on where that love comes from. And when we focus on it, we sustain it. And we sustain it because we amplify it. And we feel that the power, that all power comes from, that all of our emotions and thoughts and beliefs and behaviors, when we go into the source of that and we become present with our beloved life force, our soul, that we're not actually separate from. It's just that we're not even remotely integrated consciously into what we already are. And that means that everything you could ever want to know or be or understand, it already exists. It is already present within us. And in all reality, we're experiencing a brief window of what appears to be amnesia. We know the soul is there. We know that it causes all of these organs and complex systems in our body to work, whether we're conscious of it or not. But we haven't integrated our conscious knowing enough so that the place where all that information is stored in our subconscious, or what they call junk DNA, which supposedly most of the DNA in our body is referred to as junk DNA, meaning it's there, but we're not doing anything with it. And in the natural world, where animals and organisms and bacteria, there's a law in nature that says use it or lose it. The living creatures of the world have evolved to be so proficient for this life force to work through them, for them to survive and live. And that process has taken place over periods of time that we're not able to even comprehend. But it begs to ask an incredible question, which is, if nature teaches us and guides us and evolves us so that what we don't use, we lose, then why hasn't all that DNA already evolved out of us? And this is exciting because we are so on the edge of evolutionary growth and perception. And we already know that we are the living force of energy that is not only existing in our body and causing all these systems to work, it is intelligent. It is energy that knows how to work within and of itself, whether we're aware of it or not. But just like all these temples all over the world that have so much of the same elements involved, when all that alignment comes into place, then the natural world within and around those places causes the energy of life to become aligned with its greater facets of being. It allows all of this circuitry that's all through our body already. It's running electric energy, magnetic energy, and all kinds of other forces that there aren't even names for. And all this energy is working within us, for us, right now. And when we come to know that, when we come to the edge of self, of who we think we are, when we finally get to that point where we're done being afraid of coming to the edge of self, of perception, it is the line between who we think we are and what we are. And a lot of the reason why we don't know that, or that we resist it or afraid of it, that's what keeps us in what is familiar to us. And so we've taken this totally incomprehensibly large scale of miraculous energy, and we are condensing it. And we're building a box around ourselves that, just like a city, it doesn't blend in to the natural environment around it. It's squares, it's boxes. the flow of it is artificial compared to the land under it, over it, around it, and even within it. But that doesn't take away from the fact that this natural force of nature that is life force, it is our divine state of being, whether we're aware of it or not. And when we get our courage up, we start appearing close to the edge of who we think we are and what we are. And when those primal fears in us start to come up, alert, 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 don't go to the edge, don't, alert, alert, alert. When we learn to trust life enough, at some point, we're going to get to that edge and we're going to look over it, through it. It's way bigger than we could ever be afraid of it. So why would we not just surrender to it? And when we can find the courage to do that, no matter what those pivotal moments that scare the heck out of us, no matter how strong they are, what is on the other side of that is the higher aspects of this creative bioelectromagnetic force field of nature that creates life and destroys it at the same time. It creates microbacteria and it creates universes. And everything around us is made of it. And what we use to perceive everything around us and within us is made of that. And so nothing is void of it. And we just seem like we're the last to know. But that's where the growth is. That's when we choose to exercise our ability to perceive reality from these places of our DNA that aren't really being used, but they could be. Just like the snap of a finger, we could be using that because it's already there. We already are that. It's just that we have built a habit of channeling or diverting or refocusing our awareness, which is this energy. We have boxed it in ourselves. And now we're starting to create habits that break those old habits. And so that these new habits can come to the forefront of our awareness so that we can know ourselves as we truly are. And the more we do that, the more we begin to understand what love is. Because we think that love means this fleeting glimpse of opening our heart with another, vulnerable yet anticipating greatness. And it's always going to reflect the greatness and the most destructive components of it. And when we rise in love, we feel like who we have the potential to be. But when the rug gets pulled from underneath us, the familiar flow of what feels ecstatic and blissful, when that gets yanked away, we don't want to live. We don't want to die, but we don't know how to live. And it hurts too much. But what is there that we're missing? What is it that allows this great drama to play out in our lives, in the world around us, through movies and stories and drama and comedy and all these different ongoing images and ideas to make us think that love is something outside of us? When we place more love onto somebody or the idea of them or anything external without having built the foundation of what love really is within us, of course it's going to hurt. Of course it's going to rip us to shreds, and we're going to not know how to go on like that. But that's on us. And yeah, the world taught us that. And depending on how you view it or look at it, it kind of does make us out to be victims. But the line the differentiating line between what allows us to be a victim or a victor. That's within us. We get to choose how we respond and we react to these most delicate layers of the heart and the feelings and emotions that come out of it. And allow yourself to be aware of your entire body. Keep your breathing slower, deeper. Feel the air going into your nostrils and out. Feel the myriad amount of micro tensions and expansions in every little part of your body, and how all the sounds and everything related to it is this innate intelligence working itself out. And so your body's relaxed, your breathing is gentle, deeper, and just considering all this stuff with a relaxed body, with an observer who is aware of what the body is doing without us even knowing it. Just the thought of that is so exhilarating. It's so incredible. It is the miracle of life in action, and we get to be playing a role in it, but we're not playing. We're resisting. We're holding back because we've learned that from countless generations of those who are afraid, and rightfully so. And now, maybe for the first time in thousands of generations, we've come to a crux where all of that old survival, fight or flight drama has brought us to a grinding halt, where it's crystal clear to anybody paying attention that it's time to change, because the old way doesn't work. And it wasn't made to work. But this energy, this soul, this life force, it doesn't come from this place in the environment around us. It doesn't come from anywhere in the known or unknown universe around us. It comes from a place that has always been there, but that we hardly ever gave our attention to. And it not only gives us all that we have, but it also gives us the ability to choose what we want to do with it. And when we do choose that, it actually guides us. And if we don't pay attention to it, then it simply doesn't pay attention to us. But when we pay attention to it and we acknowledge that everything around us isn't the core or the source that makes us what we are, when we begin to contemplate the very miraculous nature that we are in these living temples where we can exercise infinite capacity to be something beyond our wildest imaginations and dreams. And when we do that, when we pay attention, life pays attention to us, paying attention to it. Because we're making that effort, it guides us. I call that love. And I know that's even scratching the surface of what love can be, of what it truly is. And when we stop investing so many expectations and putting it to everybody and everything around us, external to us, and the results are always the same, just different people, different places, different circumstances, but it's the same patterns of energy playing out. And when we've had enough of it, and we realize our nature, that makes me smile. And when we put on a smile and we feel what it represents in relation for what we already are, but that we're so very slightly aware of, when we use discernment and we prioritize creating a relationship with what we really are. And just like any other relationship, we got to get to know it better. It might take some time to trust it. But if we only right in this moment became aware of 10% of this inactive DNA, of these dormant perceptual abilities that are inactive within us, If we only turn on 10% of it just for a second, we would be in awe to a degree that we would focus all our attention on what we really are, on the fabric and nature of what allows us to be who we are. And from that foundation of learning to have reverence and awe and respect and being passionate about it, when we take the dormant parts of ourselves and we engage and activate them just like we do our bodies when we exercise, when we exercise these abilities from within us, we start respecting and feeling reverence for what's allowing us to be here. And then it's just very natural that it happens, that nothing external to us, no one external from us, can hold any power over us, because we are with the power that is us, that knows where this power of the soul comes from and what it is. And at least for a while, we could say that our heart is with somebody else, actually something else. We are in the relationship of our dreams, of beyond dreams. We are in love with these sacred temples of our body, creating mental, emotional, spiritual hygiene, honoring the physical and non-physical aspects of this being. And unlike a lot of other loves, where you feel so in love with somebody, and then after a few years, you know them so much, and they know you, and that honeymoon is over. And then you start showing each other what you've been trying not to see or trying to avoid within yourself. That's old. That is what was. And when we choose to rise in love from the place that allows and grants love in the first place, we keep deepening in that love, and there's no extent to it. And when your soul knows that you are so committed to it, number one, first, that's it, then maybe you will attract somebody who's also like that. But you might not even care about that. But the point is that from this place, that is the love that's built to last. And so before we come out of this, I ask that if you have any thoughts, and more accurately, any feelings that came about during our time together, see if you can allow those feelings to be whatever they are without feeling the need for it to be what you want it to be. Meaning, when you let those feelings be what they are, and you don't feel the need to put it into a box or limit it in any way, where you can feel this love that every one of us is made of, but that you could let go of it, and rather putting it in a cage, it flies away. And you're okay with that because you know that is what you are. And whether it comes back to you or not is of no significance. Because even now, we're not separate from it. So feel that. Come to terms with it however you feel might be best for you. And remember, you don't have to hold on to it. It could travel to another universe, and you're totally good with it. Because your temple is a dwelling for the Holy Spirit, the soul of your life force, causing your heart to beat, allowing you to be in these bodies. You do not end with your skin. You, like an organic satellite, are beaming at all times through every beat of your heart, the knowing of what it feels like to be activated into a more advanced model of what we all have the potential to be. We are that. And the sooner we wake up to realize that, the more we're able to let go of the past and shape our life in the image of what we know to be possible. And bring your attention back to your breathing, your relaxed body, that smile that recognizes the awe and wonder and mystery of you. Just let that all be what it is. and let your intuition and instinct and your ability to think rationally and logically, when all of that is working together, you know how to be. You know how to love. And you know that that love comes from a foundation within you that has always been there, and it always will be. All that it asks is for you to acknowledge it, pay attention to it, and then be guided from it in harmony with your free will, because it wants you to choose. And when you're ready, take your hands, rub them together nice and hot. And then when you're ready, put the palms of your hands over your eyes and notice if you see or sense or are aware of something in the dark. And just be aware of it. No need to do anything about it. And of course, please share this with others. Like it, love it. It's free, and we are on a mission. And we actually have a really clear picture of the outcome. We just got to get more aware of it. So, Greg, thank you as always for doing this with me. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And it's just the beginning.
Absolutely. That was pretty awesome. I love the play on words. Rather rise in love than fall in love. And on that note, it's like those words matter, you know? So it's kind of like words and definitions matter, as I always say. But it's like, why do people say good morning? Why are you mourning in the morning, right? So why not grand rising or, something like uplifting, right? So